How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today I've just got a bit more of a chilled mission. It's this one called the Old Lighthouse. You haven't really got to do anything other than just drive to the Old Lighthouse, which is, yeah, you usually see it in the distance somewhere. So I'm going to come along this way, past the trailer store and everything in the warehouse, and then you got to cut across this little road. The metal detector thing was just over there to the left when you originally find it. And yeah, this is the main bit to cut through. It's kind of like surrounded by a circle of rocks. There's a little bit of an awkward pathway to get in there, and there's kind of boulders all over the floor and stuff. And yeah, for this mission, right now, I'm going to choose the goddamn horse of a vehicle. And as I said before, never underestimate the importance of a strategically placed loaf. So yeah, I mean, it was a pretty easy mission. So that's about it for today. I hope you've enjoyed. Thanks for watching. I'll be back soon. Okay, I'm just joking, but as you can see, yeah, that is some pretty goddamn easy money. I drove the loaf here a good while ago when I was originally scouting the game, and I just had a feeling they were going to do something with this lighthouse because it was too much of a main feature to not have anything. I hadn't found the mission by that point, but yeah, it worked out pretty well. So for the demonstration of driving there, I'm going to go and take this thing out, the Voron D, whatever the other numbers are. I don't know, it's another one with a phone number. Yeah, still got the characteristic pretty slow steering of most of the Vorons. As you can see, I originally did set off with the Tatra. That's how far I got before I was like, oh hell no. The thing's just too slow. Once you're already up in the awkward bits, it's fine. I'll kind of show you a little bit later, but just as you drive that thing along the road at, in quotes, full speed, it just doesn't give me that feeling like I'm travelling fast enough, really. I don't really know why I put the sideboard on this thing either, but we're going with it anyway. Yeah, generally along this bit you want to cut across like with the left hand side if you're going this way. If you're coming back the other way, it'll be the right hand side. But yeah, going through that boggy mud is just a bit of an awkward mess. Not really worth the hassle. Overall, this Voron D's not been too bad. They've definitely got some weight nice and high up in the roof, which can be a bit awkward, as you'll see pretty soon. But yeah, it's got that special off-road gearbox, so you can't actually, all things considered, I mean, it's not horrifically slow or anything like that. It's pretty decent, but it's still not the same. If I had the choice, I would put the high range in. Sometimes I go over this way and it's pretty easy, but once that started tipping with the weight in the roof, look at that goddamn shitty tree that is no use to anyone. Of course that's what the winch grabbed first. Yeah, so fortunately the Tatra was just down the road, so I started sending that in. Like I said, driving over these sort of things, it kind of looks pretty decent, and it is, like, it's setting a pretty good pace, but it's just when you're on these sections where you just want some flat out top speed, and yeah, it's not quite there for the Tatra. Well, a little glitch was there in the distance, but like the tree was stood up or something. Fortunately though, this thing is definitely weighted very low to the bottom, so no issues tipping there, and it has no troubles flipping and stuff like this really. To be fair though, the Voron D doesn't really weigh a whole lot, but like I said, it's just like they've put a slab of weight in the roof of it. You can see it kind of thinking of tipping there, but it didn't, fortunately. Next up, this little trolley section. I don't, like, not to say I don't know what they were thinking when they added this, but it's yeah, all you end up doing is that, fling a winch out. At least, like, so they weren't complete psychopaths, and they did actually give us a winch point to use. And yeah, like, this bit here doesn't bother me or anything. It's just, it's one of them things. For 30 seconds it's like, okay, fling a winch out, hoover it in slowly, get past this bit, and then you're good to go. I do kind of wish the trailer store was a bit nearer the garage. You know, just sometimes I want to leave the garage and turn left, but then you have to go all the way this way first to grab a trailer and go back there. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but again, missions where, or maps, sorry, where there's a trailer store pretty nearby usually gives me more reason to get one and release it into the wild, make it a free range trailer. I was actually just looking on the interior view then. It's a pretty nice kind of view out the window though. It's a pretty nice wide window and everything. There's not really a lot in your way. And yeah, when you get to this section, like a little pool in the middle of the road, you've got to turn left, and it definitely gets a bit more snowy here. But in fairness, this thing, especially with the off-road special or whatever the bloody hell it's called, stick it in high range and yeah, quite often the high range, with the high range gearbox, wheel spins in snow, a bit like it is now. It got me eventually, but it made it more of the way before it tried that. Sounds like I'm running over a little baby chicken or something. I assume it's this thing. It's got some type of squeaky air, not air brakes, I don't know, like, I think it's every time you change gear. Maybe it's just the wastegate of the turbo whistling or something, but it sounds a bit weird. So yeah, this little lake section here, I'm pretty sure there's all like frozen ice under this lake, but I'm pretty sure there's loads of rocks under here as well, because it's always a bit of an awkward sod driving through here. I wouldn't necessarily say the Voron's doing a terrible job, although not amazing. I'd definitely say there is trucks that could handle going through it a bit better. But yeah, I just think underwater, there's definitely ice under here, because I'd drive something through here later and you can hear it all cracking. You kind of can now, to be fair. So a little bit of help from the winch, but thankfully I don't know where the hell the winch went to. Somewhere underwater there was something in there. So there's that little baby chicken thing noise again. I don't really mind it too bad now. When I first drove this truck and I kept hearing it, it was driving me mad at first. Well, not driving me mad, but because I had my headphones and stuff on, I was looking around, like, I kept pausing the game thinking, what the hell is that noise I keep hearing? And then, yeah, eventually I realised it was this bloody thing. So yeah, a little bit slow through that lake, but nothing special. We'll let it off. It did alright through there. I'm not sure how well it'd do carrying cargo and that through there, though. So don't worry about that. I was pretty happy I nailed that tree. I see my target, I went for it. I did notice though as well, especially with this thing that feels like it's weighted in the roof. It was trying to wheelie, or not wheelie, but like endo, like the opposite of a wheelie really. Down here a little bit. Definitely could do with probably a little bit more weight of its weight shifting to the back, or just more weight in general. I've tended to find over the months with this game that I think, yeah, the more weighty trucks just react better. Like even as far as the Scouts go, the Loaf is pretty weighted for the size of it. Obviously the Tatra is, yeah, it's a little bit of a unique Scout that in a way, but yeah, that's very weighted and that travels like a beast across most terrains. A lot of the trucks though, particularly on a Mandra, yeah, a lot of the bigger stuff like the Clubs, the P12, the P16, even the Twinsteer, as you'll see soon. I'll take that out for a little lap because good old Voron and its extra weighty roof soon pulled me over. There's not a whole lot of like bounce in the suspension either, so if you do hit a rock, it sort of just, it's set at that right amount where it pings you over. And yeah, right now, just quickly, as this was kind of the nearest thing, I set off with the Tatra, and about now, Kelly Brook's rack appeared on YouTube, and I forgot to steer. I have no regrets. I'll do it again, goddammit. But yeah, that's what happened there. So that was plan B, scrapped. So then I went and got the Twinsteer. And to be fair, I was originally going to edit this out, but to be honest, it's not very long. That's definitely not what she said. And yeah, this thing actually motors along pretty nicely. I kind of, even though I've always enjoyed the Twinsteer just because of the pace of it, like when I'm in the high range now. But there's certain sections where, I just kind of got used to, I wouldn't rank this as like the best off-roading vehicle going, but now they've actually added the all-wheel drive to it. It's a little bit like I said before with the GMC. It was almost, because it was originally designed to not be that in the game, they kind of set it at a certain limit, and then now they've added the all-wheel drive. It's just kind of like a bonus, but they haven't then had to, or they haven't so far, filled it with a load of restrictions and limiters and all sorts to kind of rein it back in. So yeah, the GMC, considering how cheap it is now, is a bloody good off-road vehicle really, because yeah, I just think a lot of the little arbitrary stealth, not nerfs, but limitations to some of the trucks, like I say, with regards to like the rev caps and the speed caps, never really got punished by it, and this sort of does feel the same. It got off pretty lightly as far as like doubling the axles, not half in the power, or not feeling like it has anyway. Yeah, it was one of the few trucks. I have crawled through that bit in a few other trucks pretty goddamn slowly, but to the Twinsteer's credit, got through there pretty well, and it got over that tree that lays across the road. But yeah, what I like about Twinsteer is once you put it in high gear, it's just quite a nice pace to it. And I mean, that's what some people were saying when I was doing that Michigan mission yesterday. You know, multiple people have been saying, in fact, just on other videos as well, that like the Michigan missions, it just feels good to go back to Michigan and have more of a faster paced map to where, yeah, in the same, say, half an hour of gameplay, you've ended up, say, doing a lap of 4 different maps rather than just driving down one little trollish road section on Imandra. And again, this Imandra certainly has its place in this game. There is loads of sections of Imandra that I enjoy slowly crawling my way through, but every now and then, or more than every now and then really, I definitely do prefer going back to, yeah, more open maps like it, Michigan, you know, Black River, Smithville or whatever, and yeah, open them up a bit, get the trucks hauling along. And again, I mean, the Twinsteer was doing pretty well down here, but then can you see that tree that's now just, yeah, got a tree stuck up my arse. That's not really what I signed up for. I can't really help it. It was just as I was turning the corner, I was hoping to kind of brush along the side of the tree and let it scoot my back end around a bit, but no, it just kind of went through my truck. And then the last little rear bumper of the truck kind of gets hooked on it. Fortunately, it wasn't too bad. I was able to kind of winch sideways and slip my way off it. Yeah, that's what she said. But yeah, I mean, as you can see, the Twinsteer is doing pretty well through it. Certainly without all-wheel drive, I think that would have been a bit of a disaster. I do tend to find, though, with this Twinsteer as well, I believe they have put a bit of the weight, like, quite high up in the cab as well. There is times where this thing, once it starts to go, it wants to go, and it doesn't even roll onto its side very easily. The Twinsteer kind of wants to roll completely upside down and just sit on its roof. You'll see the Twinsteer again in a minute. I rolled it just up ahead. But yeah, luckily I flipped Voron D before I did. And there is an apparent road going along there somewhere, but you're honestly better off just heading towards that beach as quickly as you can, and yeah, it's a lot less rocks going along that way. And this is kind of the main rocky circle you can see on the map. You can see to my left, like the big jagged rocks, that's kind of where it all starts. And yeah, it starts to get a little bit trollish from here. If I'm honest, I wasn't really thinking about the particular setup, like with regards to the front bumper I've got on and stuff. Maybe I could have put a better bumper on that doesn't catch on the rocks as easily, but overall the Voron wasn't terrible at climbing over rocks, but it's not amazing either. I think one of the things with that special off-road gearbox is, yeah, I just feel like it's sort of the way they create the variation in gearboxes in this game is to do with like rev caps, and I just always find them to be harsher on the off-road gearboxes or the special off-road. And of course, yeah, I mean, this is the like high up weight with the Voron D. It went for it. I edited about a minute or so out there where, for some reason, I was attaching the winch to the Twinsteer, or sorry, the other way round, because this thing was beyond 90 degrees at that point, and it just wouldn't hoover this truck in at all. It wasn't moving. I don't know if I was kind of glitched into the rock, or if the winches are just being particularly weak at the minute, but I think overall the winches are being weaker, but at least they're actually still dragging my truck at some point. But yeah, eventually got out of there, and I mean, this is the way, really, round to the lighthouse, but just behind me, kind of as I'm facing forward now, to the right there's another inner circle of rocks surrounding the lighthouse. There is a little gap in the cliffs, and I'll show you that a little bit later, because there is like an easier way to get through there, and you could kind of cut all this section out really, even though it was quite fun, like, you know, fighting my way through and giving it a go, but there's options. I was trying to think which sort of trucks climb over rocks very well. I remember the White Western Star was pretty good at not getting beached, but I can't remember if that really winds the power. Although if it's got no cargo on it, it probably wouldn't be that bad actually. Yeah, at this point, like, sod you, I ain't even reversing. I keep scraping you against the wall until I was happy to reverse in the end, but what I didn't want to do was like some 9-point turn, so I thought I'd just scrape it along the roof, along the cliff. Funny enough, I've not seen that radar trailer in bloody ages. I just realised where I left it. That's how long ago, when I was originally searching this map. I made it to there, did the radar trailer. I think it got the whole lighthouse and everything. I was like, well, see you, radar trailer. You are now free range. And yeah, this section, I remember when I was actually scouting the whole mission, my Tiger, it had pretty damaged engine, it had a burst tyre and all sorts by this point, but I got caught on these rocks. And that's when I had the Tiger and the Loaf, and I sent the Loaf on ahead, because it's goddamn professional, and he gets the job done, and that was the Loaf sat at the lighthouse, and sat there that whole time, just waiting for his moment. He knew his mission. You see that gap just to my right? That's like the little gap that you'd be able to go through, which we'll get to in a minute. And yeah, that's about it. Once you get through that trollish section, this last bit, I mean, there is little rocks on the road, but they're nothing too special. I apologise, there's a little tiny glitch here. You can see the lighthouse just up the hill, but yeah, just to be a twat, the game had to delete it right at the last minute. And this is to show you that the Loaf is a goddamn horse of a vehicle. There's no problems with the old rocks. The Loaf is a beast for climbing over rocks. Even rocks that are like way taller than it, or at least the ground clearance. I mean, again, the Loaf's got pretty decent ground clearance. It's got better ground clearance than stuff like the Collobs, so can't really fault it. But you say just going over rocks, the thing just flies over them and doesn't really mind. Never really gets caught up on them anyway. Like I said, just rubs its cock on them and it owns them now. Yeah, like, again, this is the little gap. You'll see my Twinsteer as I get out the other side, so that's kind of where it is relative to where I got to with that. But not a whole lot of things will go through here. I did originally try going through with the Twinsteer. It's part of the reason why I ended up rolling it. And just to, for my own curiosity as well, because I originally went the long way round with this Loaf. But yeah, I was able to get out and then go back in. That's definitely what she said. So, I mean, yeah, it's doable. What you could do is drag a Loaf with even a Tatra or something down to like the point where I got the Twinsteer, and instead of having to go that trollish long way around, just send in the Loaf. And yeah, even getting up here now, still going along pretty nicely. Even these little rocks. Sometimes I have to do a little jump over them. To be honest, the Loaf's pretty good as well though, at knocking rocks out the way. Like when it wheel spins on them, it flicks quite a few out the way. Whereas some of the heavier trucks, they kind of punch the rock into the ground as you're going over them, so it can be a bit of a pain to move. And you see, but you all thought I was going to hit the back of the Voron there, but swerved like a beast. Then again, the game has to wreck it for me and get one last little glitch, but as I was turning the Loaf around, I just pushed the Voron. I mean, look at it. What a meaty little horse. Some good old power to it. Don't worry about that engine damage. Well, it's been nice to drive a Loaf without a roof rack, because quite a lot of the time I always take a roof racked Loaf at the minute for repairs, but yeah, just floating around with a naked Loaf, and pretty good. And of course, this is why you get yourself a Loaf. Guardian of the lighthouse. Job done. And this is just one last little clip. I won't. I've cut a few bits out, but this was me on the way with the Tatra in after I kind of flipped it back with the Twinsteer. It goes through here pretty nice. There is sections of this map that the Twinsteer, the Tatra is bloody good at nailing its way across. But then later on, as you'll see, as we get to like that circle of rocks where the lighthouse is, two issues for me as well, other than the slow speed with the Tatra, is it can get beached on rocks pretty easily. Like, it tends to sit on top of rocks rather than seesaw forward or backwards. It kind of just sits on top of them. And the other thing is, as you're climbing over rocks, the truck kind of just Tatra, whatever, rotates its way left or right, and you don't always have a lot of say in which way it's kind of swinging itself as you're trying to climb over stuff. And it can, yeah, make for a lot of reversing and 20-point turns as you're trying to get through certain bits. But there's flaws and against in all trucks, so I get it. Like, I mean, overall this, yeah, I certainly wouldn't be selling my Tatra anytime soon, I know that much. See, for all these sort of bits, you think, oh, it's like motoring along pretty goddamn nicely, but yeah, as soon as you get to those rocks and they go under the chassis, it's not too keen on it. I almost get beached here, but fortunately, I still had a little grip, a little bit of grip somewhere. I'm just going to edit ahead a bit, because I drove into the sea a little bit, and it goes deep pretty quick. I won't even need to say it for that one. And yeah, so I kind of got stuck on a rock again. for about a minute. So at this point, I had drove the Twinsteer a bit further ahead. It was pretty fun bringing the Twinsteer down here, but I'll be honest, I certainly wouldn't recommend it as the vehicle of choice. It just tips too easily once you get onto rocks like that. And not just tips once it goes, but like I said, because I think there is a lot of weight fairly high up in the Twinsteer as well, it's pretty happy to go and stay gone once it does start going. Yeah, I just flipped the Twinsteer back to its wheels just in case, but sending in the Tatra. I just wanted to see for myself with this, because I knew the Tatra overall would have no issue kind of climbing up to this point, but I knew it'd be a bit of a troll on all these rocks and stuff, and yeah, as you'll see, I didn't quite make it to the lighthouse. I mean, I could have easily, like I could have just sent the Loaf down just to winch me over some of the rocks, but as you can see here, like, there I start to get beached a bit and it starts rotating me to the right. Apologies for that again, I believe that was a little glitch. And yeah, even like there, I've been trying to steer right for longer than it was doing it. So you end up doing a lot of stuff like that with 3-point turns, which is not too bad here, but when you're on the side of a bit of an awkward mountain or cliff or whatever, and again, going up there, clip that rock, it just completely swings me around to the left. Again, I had it about another 30 seconds out. But yeah, overall, I mean, that's the mission done. This is the route to take, really. But I'd certainly take advantage of the little shortcut through the mountain if you can. And yeah, get to about here. And that was me lot. Like I said, I could have rescued it, but I'd already completed the mission at this point, so that was only really just for my own curiosity to see if this thing could actually make it on its own, and close but no cigar. But anyway, that's about it for today, though. I hope you've enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon. You can see the point at which I give up. And that is why, as I always say, get yourself a loaf.